Okay, let's hope this works. Oh my God. All right, we know what's happening. So I am just gonna get us right into our show today. I am so glad to have you here with me, and welcome everyone to today's Destination Unknown. I am excited to have you meet Shannon Sweet. She is my crystal dealer. I'm wearing some of my classic works, and she's here to talk to us about crystals. So we've been doing crystals here on the podcast, and I wanted to bring her in as someone who has a lot of crystal handling experience. So welcome today, Shannon.
Oh dear. Alyssa, thank you so much for having me on your show today. I'm really happy to be here. And I can tell you what I know. Please pick my brain. What do you want to know first?
Well, tell us first, like, I know your business, but for those who have not yet been introduced, tell us about your business and how that intersects with the subject of crystals this month.
Absolutely. So my business is Desert Moonshine Jewelry, and I make eclectic necklaces and earrings and pieces that combine certain stones and quartz with, vintage or antique pieces from the Middle East, Coochie pendants, Turkoman buttons, Tuareg pieces, that sort of thing. I love connecting those types of cultures. And that's my thing. I can't get enough of putting all the shiny stuff together. I love using my business as a window into, appreciating and respecting cultures outside of our own. I think there's something very much to be said about understanding other perspectives and just expanding your mind. And that's what we do with quartz as well, don't we?
Yes, that gets us right into the first topic. Let's jump right into some stones. So you work with stones all of the time in your work. And when you work, so you're talking about quartz, and I know that that's a stone that you work with a lot. Would you call it your favorite, or do you have a favorite?
Ooh, okay. I absolutely adore quartz for its versatility. I love all the different colors, and there's lots of different sizes we can use and ways that they're cut, used for different pieces of jewelry. I'd have to say that my absolute favorite is amethyst, though. I mean, it is a type of quartz, as well as rose quartz and citrine and that sort of thing. Amethyst is also, it's my birthstone. And I've had this stone for a very, very long time. My parents actually gave it to me. I love them. And you can see there's a lot of very natural, very large points, and it ranges in that very light purple to some much darker purple tones there.
And that's natural coloring for that stone there.
Absolutely. And this stone is very, it has many varieties in its color just by itself, occurring naturally, all the way from those very light purples down to black. You can get black amethyst and dark gray amethyst from Uruguay and that sort of thing. And I had no idea for the longest time until I went to the New Mexico Expo when they had the Gem and Mineral show, and I was like, what is this? I have to have a piece, and it's somewhere around here. But yeah, amethyst is it's very much that protection, purification, power, and for me, it really amplifies my own personal energy. I really bond with it. Well, it always reminds me of, when I hold it, it makes me feel like, I'm reminded of who I am, why I'm here, kind of thing. Especially like at night when I'm trying to fall asleep and I'm like, am I doing this right? What am I doing with my life or something? I'm like, no. Grab the amethyst. I'm lying there and I just sort of like place it on my chest and like take a few deep breaths.
Right on your heart chakra. I agree. Absolutely. Would you consider yourself a natural sensitive then when it comes to stones and their energies?
I think in a way I am. anyone watching your show is more attuned to astrology than I am. I'm a Pisces sun and a Pisces rising, so I do have some very sensitive qualities. And in that way, you know, especially I can pick up on what's in the room, other people's emotions, but I also have to turn that off. And so sometimes I'm very, thick-headed. And I'd say I allow myself to be sensitive when I want, especially when I'm holding a certain stone, I'm getting introduced to a stone, I want to feel what I'm doing, which stones go with each other, that kind of thing. But I have to, shut it off because my studio is covered in stones. Just they're everywhere. There's like bags and bags of different colored quartz and amethyst and pyrite, and there's these strings of kyanite and malachite and tiger's eye and hematite and that sort of thing. So, all of those stones have they're giving off different energies, and they're all intermixing with each other in the same room. That's too much to handle for the most sensitive people, being in the same room with all those different stones. So I kind of, shut that off a little bit when I go into my studio. But if I were just really trying to feel what's going on with a stone or really concentrate on it, that sort of thing, I would place it in my left hand. Here, I'll show you. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm like, let me demonstrate. So last year, as we know, the pandemic struck New Mexico, and I was also ridden with anxiety, and still am, but that's okay. We're all being careful. We're doing the right thing. And I needed a little boost on protection and anxiety, and my friend told me, get yourself some black tourmaline. And I said, okay. So I found this lovely piece, and you can see the chemical structure, the physical structure is just lots of long, lengthy.
Natural. That's a great example of a natural shape, correct?
Natural shape for black tourmaline. And this one is the ultimate protection stone, and just dispels fear and that sort of thing. That's what it's meant for, at any rate. I am aware that different stones feel different to different people, though. They resonate differently when you hold them, as well as do colors and that sort of thing. Everyone has their own perception of the world around them, So how I learned was that you can take in energy from the world in your left hand, and you can give out energy with your intentions with your right hand, say, or your dominant hand, I suppose, if you're like holding a wand, that sort of thing.
Yes. That's something I've heard as well.
Right. So normally, if I'm getting introduced to a new stone that I haven't really connected with the energies quite yet, I'll hold it in my left hand and just holding it here. And, you get, for me, I get visualizations and feelings. I think for other people, the energy can manifest in a different way. They might, see colors, or, they just feel certain vibrations. Maybe their hand tingles a little bit, and it, can travel up somewhat. For me, the first time I held this stone, I felt like I was just resting gently in very shallow, calm ocean water on the beach with like a lovely sun coming down on my face, which is, reminds me of my home beach where I grew up on Oahu in Hawaii. And so I was like, oh, okay, this stone feels like home. Like I feel safe in shallow waters there. The shore is right there. We're just relaxing, enjoying ourselves, that sort of thing. I can hold this as like a happy place.
Yes.
Sort of thing. So along with that, while I was getting this black tourmaline, I got myself a tiny little lapidolite. And this one is also, like amethyst.
Yeah.
This one is a light purple.
Yeah.
Well, and you can see it, all these like reflective structures. It's almost like like flakes, like shale kind of thing.
Right.
Mm-hmm. But this
Like
one,
naturally faceted in that aspect.
yes, very glittery and shiny. But it's a great anxiety reliever.
My bird loves it. That's the joy. Right, exactly. Which is obviously why I love it too, because of my bird energy. But keep going by all means. So that one, I would like to ask you, when you look at the color, because you brought up color earlier, do you find yourself, when you are drawn to a stone or reacting in a positive or even negative way, do you think it's more about the stone and the energy of it, like in itself, or the color of it, or maybe just kind of a combination? Or can you tell?
I think it's a combination. For me personally, I think that the original chemical makeup of a stone, its physical properties, are the strongest energy emanating from it. There's a big difference between black tourmaline and like watermelon tourmaline, where you get that pink and green.
I have seen you post some of those. Those are beautiful. Oh.
So, I think that would be like the base energy feeling of it. So on top of that, if you have other stones like quartz, actually, like, coral is dyed a lot too, but that's like it's such a porous material.
Mm-hmm.
They're oil dyed, and that way they can soak up that dye and retain that color very well. Quartz can be dyed as well, and I use that in a lot of my work because quartz can go with anything, and your mood that day, you can amplify your personal energy,
right?
But color can go along with that and enhance that. So say you woke up and today was a beautiful day, and you were like, I feel happy today. I feel happy. You know what? I want green. Because, green could be that symbol of joy and abundance for you.
And I have to show off that you are actually reading my mind every time. This is a new piece that I just got from Shannon also. I'm trying to show it off against it, and it's got all these blues in it, and it's just literally, I love the colors of this. This was it was so funny because when she was getting ready to put some pieces aside for a sale, she had some that she thought I would be for sure in love with, and instead I just love the happiness and the sky blue aspect of this particular piece. And also, like so many of your pieces, like you mentioned also, I love the fact that you bring in all these different cultural aspects as far as celebrating all of these other forms of artwork that are out there and putting that together with the crystals. That to me is part of your unique vision. So here's a great example of exactly what you were talking about.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, color just, I think it can really just be what the piece is based around as well. That you can pick one color from a design perspective. That's my favorite thing to do, is just design. And then you can pick the shapes that are going to go along with it, what repeating patterns you're going to use, what's going to be like shorter, what's going to be longer. I'm fiddling with something because I'm
yes, please. I feel like this is a reveal that's about to happen, as they call it in theater. We're getting ready for a reveal.
I get like a black book as a background here, so you can really see this color. So here's a necklace that's currently available on Etsy. Look at these quartz though. Yes, they're bright pink. Yes, they're bright orange. But why do we dye our hair colors? Why can't we wear brightly colored quartz and be sparkly and be ourselves, right?
And when you wear quartz, you were talking also about how it magnifies energy and it points in directions. Like I know that you also have what I call a wand. So for example, the double pointed structures, to me, that is about a way of utilizing the energy. What's your impression?
Absolutely. I think that the way certain stones are cut or formed by lapidary folk really can change the energy direction a lot.
Mm.
So I'll pull out my, where is it? There it is.
I was hoping you would say something like that.
I, I have a double terminated quartz that I especially love.
Ooh.
Here.
So, right?
But from what I know, the double terminated quartz is really great for not, because it has 2 points, it can accept energy and then also put out energy at the same time. So, you're putting your intentions into it and then your intentions are coming out of it.
And that's what, to me, that's a wand. That's exactly how I think of that. It harnesses the energy that's kind of free floating and uses personal willpower to focus that energy. And then as a tool, put that into manifestation, put that into the material.
Yeah, absolutely. I think this would actually be a great additive tool to tarot because you can have this on the table next to you. You could hold it because you're reading for someone or someone who's trying to ask a question. The person you're reading for could maybe hold it. And that way, whatever you're trying to gauge from the universe can come in, and then whatever needs to be said can come out with the cards.
I love that.
And then you can cleanse it after every reading.
So tell me about cleansing. Cleansing, something that we talked about in some of the podcasts along the way, but what are your rituals and what are your beliefs as far as cleansing?
I think some people cleanse a lot more often than I do because I'm usually the only one handling my quartz. But if you're receiving a quartz for the first time, it's always a good idea to cleanse it. There are different methods out there. One of the ways is to put it in salt water.
Yes.
To ground it and that sort of thing. Or you could actually bury it.
Yeah.
Dig it back up again. Some people will really, they have, much more powerful minds for focusing than I do, and they can cleanse it and clear it just with their own will.
Okay. That's something that we didn't talk about. I'm so glad you mentioned that as well. And I've also heard about definitely the saltwater cleansing, moon bathing in addition or instead of some of those, and salt, just as instead of being in a solution of water, just as a dry solution as well.
Yeah, salt is great, and full moon, absolutely. Or some people who are a little more traditional than I believe that you have to leave it out for an entire moon cycle.
See, and we touch on that one too. So that's kind of like in the old days, being like many years ago, I actually would do more of that. And I don't know if I was sensitive enough to really feel if the energy was, if I was programming, so to speak, my intention, and then it needed to be cleansed again. I just kind of did it because I thought it was cool. And I would forget about it for like, I would be really good about remembering to get it right at the full moon. But then sometimes I would leave it there for a couple days. And sometimes I wonder if that's, like, yes, 3 days.
If you don't have a good place to put your items out to get moon bathed, the salt is a great idea for a lot of things. Although I would, for anyone taking home my jewelry who was like, actually, I want to cleanse this, which I'm not offended by. I'm imbuing it with my kind of creative, like
sure,
that kind of energy as I'm working on it. So
yes.
if people feel that when they receive it and they like it, that's fine. If they want to cleanse jewelry that they buy from me when they receive it, I would recommend moonbathing, because some stones do not react well to salt water. Neither does metal. So
exactly. And also, like, I think I touched on the idea of, like, it's great for, you know, these solid stones that you have that aren't in jewelry form. I've got stones sitting next to me and I can't find a single one that I'm talking about. But I'm not going to bury my necklaces in the yard. You know what I mean?
No, don't do that. Don't do that. They'll oxidize.
Yeah, that would be a terrible thing. So, so that's a bit about cleansing. Do you charge and use your crystals, or is it just something for you, something that you just enjoy?
So I personally mostly just, I enjoy them and use them as sort of meditative and intention types of things. I don't really personally go through the ritual of charging my crystals and quartz and things that I use. But I like changing my mindset and inviting certain energies into my home, that sort of thing. For example, I don't know, I never really liked the color orange growing up.
Okay.
I was just like, it's too bright, it's too out there, like it doesn't go with anything. What can I do? But now that I've moved to New Mexico and I see sunsets all the time, I just absolutely love them. And after a while, I got this feeling, I was like, I need more citrine in my life. I need more citrine. And I have this baby here.
Ooh.
And it's exactly the same chemical structure as amethyst,
Wow.
except for one thing that changes the color of it.
Wow. That is so, what is citrine associated with as far as its energetic properties?
So citrine is associated with like manifestation of personal will and joy and success. Absolutely. And I was realizing, like, as I was getting more into my business and growing it, that, you know, I was like, this needs to be powerful. Like I need this vibrant, successful energy going along with my intentions. When I get up in the morning, I'm going to make them shiny things, and then shiny things are going to go out to people. So
yes, exactly.
Like, so, and citrine is just, it's, you know, it's one step off from amethyst. And that being said, there is such a thing as ametrine, where you find within the same stone that halfway through the chemical structure just changed by that one piece, and part of it is orange and part of it is purple.
Wow.
So the stones exist like that. And that is, you know, just that coming together and overcoming your insecurity because you're combining that power and that success together.
Well, how do you find stones? Do you prefer to always be able to hold them and have that personal interaction before you buy them? Or what's your preferred, how do you get yours?
A lot of my stones, yes, I bought them all in person. I saw them, I held them, you know, I figured out if they resonated with me. And these ones, like this double terminated quartz, and these two obelisks I have, as well as a few others I picked up at the Tucson Gem and Mineral Show 2 years ago.
Nice. Oh, that event is huge. If you've never heard of this, I hadn't until, and it's, you might be thinking, oh yeah, it's like Expo New Mexico or something. No. It described, I saw an aerial photo. I've never been. And I was like, are you kidding me? It's like a whole town.
It is. It stretches for miles. And, you know, we walked for days and only saw a tiny fraction of all the shows and displays, and it's incredible and mind-blowing. They have all these tiny rocks as well, just too many different kinds to count or remember, but I mean, if you look on my Instagram, you'll see these giant quartz that were like 8 feet tall, these amethyst wings. They've got bathtubs made out of rose quartz and tables made out of, you know, why am I freezing? Labradorite. Oh my gosh, Labradorite. I love Labradorite.
What does that look like? That doesn't bring up a color or association with me right away.
Oh, I don't have an example to show with me currently at the moment, but it's kind of like moonstone except a darker, and it has that sort of sheen of blue and green and dark purple.
Okay, I am already having a problem.
Oh, right. That being said, though, one of my other, I love Labradorite, but I also love moonstone.
Yes.
And I have this old favorite necklace that I bought back at home in Hawaii, and it is.
Oh, wow. That's a nice one. Wow.
And it's one of the things that inspired me to start taking traditional jewelry fabrication classes, and I've just been loving it.
And how long have you been doing jewelry now?
So I've been designing and putting things together since I was a darn kid, trying to
That doesn't surprise me.
put pony beads together into the shapes of animals, and I was trying to like sell them to my classmates back in like 4th grade.
Awesome.
Because we love to hang those kinds of keychains off of our backpacks.
Uh-huh.
But so design is something very much instilled in me. But Desert Moonshine Jewelry has been around officially for 3.5 years. So I'm proud to say, yay! So let's keep it going.
Absolutely. And that's, if people are looking to get in touch with some of your work, where can they check it out?
Absolutely. A lot of my work is on Etsy currently.
Yes.
So etsy.com/shop/Desert Moonshine.
Okay.
You can also find me on Instagram at Desert Moonshine Jewelry, as well as Facebook, www.facebook.com/Desert Moonshine.
Okay.
There's just images upon images of all of these different designs I've made, and I can't get enough of it. They just keep getting made. You know, and some of them on the Etsy will be.
That's quartz, right?
It is quartz. And the colors, the pink and the light blue that kind of turn into a little bit of purple, just remind me of cotton candy. So I have
Me too.
Cotton candy, that kind of thing. And this one has some long chains that go down the front. Wonderful for those high neck blouses, that sort of thing. So yeah, just check it out. There's lots of shiny things and sparkly things. Something for everybody. Mother's Day is coming up. Maybe you want a pair of earrings for your mom.
Or yourself, you know?
Or yourself.
Oh my gosh. I love the way you incorporate the other cultures and the other stories into one piece. That to me is so inspirational. And that's a great example of the way that you're able to combine those influences with the stones.
Yes. I think that the stones can enhance certain properties, but also shapes. Like, for example, I don't necessarily like using round shapes all the way around depending on the piece. So I love your moons and your black quartz. So I love how spiky these blue kyanite are, and you know, spikes represent protection as well. And then I combined it with the diamond shaped coins instead of round coins, because I think that pattern sort of repetitively shows and complements each other.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
And in fact, one of the stones I wanted to show you, this is something I talked about on the podcast at one point. It's a poison ring, and it's malachite. So it's a green malachite. I don't know if you can really see all the detailing, but you can kind of see it. But yay, it's a poison ring. Yay.
And that is so fun that they chose to use malachite in that piece, considering how malachite, you know, if you put it in water or get it wet, it is toxic.
Really?
So,
I never knew that.
Malachite is toxic. So if you ever see a bathtub or a sink made out of malachite, that is just for show. Please do not use it.
Wow. Oh my gosh, that makes me love that. I've had this ring since I was about 16 years old, and I just love it more now. Thank you for teaching me that.
You're so very welcome. I will tell anyone, please don't get your malachite wet.
I used to wear it all the time, including whenever I bathed, but I guess, you know, it wasn't against my skin, it was to the outside. So there's that.
Right. I think, don't quote me on this, I think there's a copper content in it. And then the water sort of interacts with that somehow. So yes, that's one of those things. There are certain stones that are, you know, you don't want to get wet, or they're toxic, or people may not resonate with, that sort of thing. One of the stones that I just have never really been able to figure out or resonate with is onyx. And I do have some examples. Do you want to see? Okay. I have this ring from my grandmother, black onyx.
Oh yeah.
Malachite. I don't know. I don't wear it. I just have it. And I admire it, and it's very pretty in its design, but for some reason, black onyx just feels like a black hole to me. There's some vibrations in things that just feel calming and soothing, and for this one, it just feels like everything is canceled out and knocked all over the place, and it's just this abyss. And people do use black onyx because it's just like a magnet for negative energy, and all the negative energy just goes into it. So that's why I understand why it feels that way, but I don't like it against my skin for very long. And you know, that being said, it made me wonder what the chemical structure of it was. So I did a little digging recently, and I found out, and I'm here to tell you, that black onyx does not exist. Does not exist.
Really?
So, and you're like, what? Are you telling me?
I've always thought of onyx as a black stone. That's what you see, like just like in the jewelry you showed. That's always what I've associated it with.
No. So a lot of times, black onyx is actually a gray agate that's been dyed, or it is a black chalcedony that's been carbonized. So
heat?
So carbonized is another way of dyeing, and don't, you know, I'm not the expert on this, but what I think they do is because it's a porous material, they can inject sugar into it and carbonize the sugar. So like charcoal, black charcoal.
And that's what makes it, wow.
Yes. So somewhere along the line, they started calling dyed gray agate onyx. And that's what we know today.
Wow.
That's an example of where the color of a stone after it's been dyed really can affect its energy and the vibrations that it puts out. So, you know, there's a very big difference between like moss agate and like fire agate and that sort of thing. And this is gray agate that's just been dyed black.
Wow. And do you feel like the moss and the fire agate have their own kind of energetic principles or aspects?
Absolutely.
Even though they're kind of the same stone, but are they?
It's one of those. It's a slight change in the chemical structure that determines the color and the way it has sort of tendrils coming into it, or the way it reflects light. So yes, those very large changes in chemical structure actually really affect the frequency that it's putting out. And this is why we call it metaphysics.
Yes. Absolutely.
It is based in science. And it makes sense to me personally that stones that are created with surrounded by certain energies would soak that in and be formed in a certain way and then give out certain energies.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And do you feel a difference when you're interacting energetically with stones that have been created in a shape artificially versus their natural shape? Like we've seen so many of those beautiful natural points so far, but some of them are manufactured. Does that change how you interact with the stone?
For me, no.
Okay.
Because there's a lot of synthetic stones out there. They're synthetically made diamonds, they're synthetically made quartz, like iolite, that sort of thing. And a lot of stones have been man-made and were never made by the earth. Like we created them and that sort of thing. And honestly, as long as these stones still have the original chemical structure of the stone, it does give off of the same frequency. If someone had a man-made diamond, that would actually be a lot more ethically sound. Say for some people, they would want to go with that choice for stones that they bring into their life. I am not opposed to using synthetic stones in your work because we've done a lot of mining on Mother Earth, and we need to give her a break.
And we have some amazing ways and means now to create these things. I hadn't really thought of that before. I think that's such a great point.
Mm-hmm. I mean, even just the small fraction of stones I saw at Tucson Gem and Mineral Show is just an incredible amount. And don't quote me on this, but I heard that most of the world's stones and minerals are at the Tucson Gem and Mineral Show at that time of year.
I believe
we've
that.
mined 70% of the world's stones, and we can't keep this up at this rate.
Yeah. Like, how is that sustainable?
Right.
Yeah.
So, I think it's important for me as well to watch my sources from where I'm getting stones from, and my crystals and that sort of thing. Also, just because if you really want the real stone, and it's not if you want a real Moldavite, for example, versus green glass, you want to make sure to look for the bubbles, that sort of thing.
I have some Moldavite right here. What a great segue. Let me see if, here it is. This is my awesome chunk. Look how big it is.
It is. I've seen it in person. It is huge.
I know.
It's a giant piece of Moldavite. So great for connecting with the beyond and what's out there because it's made from meteors.
Yes. It is a tektite, as you know.
Absolutely. And that kind of, there's others stones that, it reminds me of peridot that are made in that sort of volcanic fire as well. It has a similar color to it.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And before we go, if you have time, do you also scry with your stones? That's something that we kind of talked about in the podcast. And I'm curious if that's something that that's part of your path.
So I don't necessarily scry with my stones, but I do, let me show you what I have. Let me show you. Let me just.
Please.
I have my quartz sphere.
That's a nice one. And look at all of those occlusions. I pulled a crystal ball as well, but look, mine doesn't have any occlusion.
Whoa! Look at that.
I mean, and it is big. I mean, there's my hand for size reference. Mm-hmm. But Shannon, is it possible? That's where it got dinged. That's my fault. Is it possible that this is glass? Because
it's very possible.
Is it? Yeah. I mean, it's pretty and I like it. It's ornamental, but I've never really felt like I do when I wear my stones. I just never have reacted to it that way.
Okay. I mean, there could be multiple reasons for that. You know, the occlusions in this help to sort of not focus too many energies and kind of put energies out in different ways and reflect them. That sounds really counterintuitive to the way spheres and magnifying glasses work.
Yes.
So accepting the light and then turning it into a laser point. But having those occlusions can kind of just break up some of the energies so they don't get out of control, right? So what I like to do is when you're, you know, staring into this, or one of the other things I do is just a candle, a simple flame. The occlusions, there's so many of them that you can't, there's no way you can memorize this. It's something different every time. You can look at it from different angles, and it just attracts and centers and focuses your energy that way. So if there's too many earthly and worldly thoughts going through your head, you know, this is a great way to focus on being in the moment, what you're looking at, and kind of clears your mind. And in that clearing of the mind, you know, other things, you can let other things in that you may be, you know, hoping to attract with your intentions and your thoughts. Like something will come to you. Sometimes I really have to walk away from the studio. Walk away.
Is it too much input? Is that what it feels like?
Sometimes, or if it's like, sometimes there's these days where the designs are just not coming together.
Yeah.
This doesn't really look quite right like this, and this could work, but this stone is just not exactly the right shape. Even just wire wrapping certain stones, like if the top is shaped differently, the wire is not going to pull the way I want it to. So, you know, walk away, go get some tea, like, creatively clear your mind. And then what do you know? I'm like, oh, I figured it out. You know, I can go back into my studio now. That sort of thing.
I love that. Yeah.
But yeah, so these spheres are great for just like really kind of getting lost in.
More meditative, like you said before, too. It's very much a meditation tool for you. Your stones are.
It's round. It's that symmetry. It's got that very pleasant shape. It's just lovely to look at. But also, you know, when you're done with it, like, respect it. Keep it in its own place inside, maybe in the dark, even somewhere away from the window. Yes, please do that. If not, you know, just do it for me. Don't do it for you or anybody in your house that doesn't want to be set on fire by the sun. Right? Please don't leave it in the sun.
Exactly. I know, because that's exactly it. I when I very first got this early on, I like the weight of it, and I do like to hold it on my chest, kind of like you were describing earlier. And I was doing this outside, and I was in the sun, and you can imagine what started like right here. I was like, ow. What's happening right now? And then all of a sudden I realized, oh my gosh, it's a giant lens. Hello, what are you doing? Of course it's doing this. So yes, do indeed be careful where you put it in your house. It will focus.
Very concentrated sunbathing there, Alyssa.
I know. I was like, I realized what I was doing. Of course, I was like, yeah, no, I'm doing this.
Found out. Yes. And then also, yeah, like sun catchers. Don't get the little globes. Like, don't get anything that has globes in it. Please don't make sun catchers with globes in it. Use the faceted ones. Those
okay, that's what I was going to say, because I've seen the faceted kind, and those do all the rainbows that I like, and I think those are so cool.
Those are great. Those are lovely. Please get those. Get lots of them. Get the energy and the creative sun going about your place.
I love that. Well, on that, let's wrap it up one more time by telling everybody where they can get in touch with your work. And if they're looking to get some stones to feel for themselves or just want to adorn yourself with them, because crystals are beautiful. And Shannon is an entrepreneur. She is a female entrepreneur who has been representing her creative work very diligently for all these years. I am very happy to be a patron of her artistry. So where can other people take a look at what you've got?
Thank you so much, Alyssa.
Yes.
You can find my work on Etsy. Desert Moonshine is my shop. You can also find me on Instagram and Facebook.
Excellent. Thank you, Shannon Sweet, for joining us today. And thank you for joining us here to talk about crystals and stones. And on our way out, I'm just going to do a little like, look, this one came from Shannon. Oh, wait, I've got it backwards. Sorry. There we go.
Alyssa.
That one, that's all my skulls. My
Speaking
awesome.
of that, the same, so I hand cast these bronze crow skulls, mini crow skulls, and I'm working on it. So here's a sneak peek at a new design. I haven't finished it yet. I've just started making it.
What? Oh my God.
It's not the bronze bird skull, but I've combined it with pyrite for protection, and these long quartz that are more spear-like to me, because having those points pointing away from you, yes,
Dissipates all the energy.
Negative energy, and helps your intentions. So
oh, I'm gonna have my eye. Oh, okay.
That one and how that one will turn out. So there we go.
Thank you for sharing that. I'm excited. Who knows if I'm gonna have to start budgeting a little stimulus money. Well, thank you again, Shannon, and thank you everyone for joining us. And I hope you enjoy your crystals.